Up next will be the Reservoir Frogs.
Good evening, we're the Reservoir Frogs. We're gonna pull three things from the story. First thing we're gonna pull is the sex hat. The second thing is the walk of the soul. And the third thing, Norway. Take it away.
Hi, I'm Emily Hart. I love to crochet, and my dream is to win Project Runway with all crocheted items. I know I can do that. I mean, you gotta start small. So yeah, I made this crooked scarf, but I will get better, and I will win.
Zachariah Kresge. I lost my dog recently and it's left a hole in my heart, you see. And I miss him so much. I gotta get that dog back.
I'm Paul Hart. You know, with just the E on the end, not in the middle. Yeah, I gotta get rid of this hat. I just get way too much sex with this hat. I mean, you know how it is, right? So, yeah.
Emily Hart, I crochet, and yeah, that's become my personality.
Zachariah Kresge. I'm gonna get my dog back.
Paul Hart E. Please don't have sex with me.
I picked up crocheting to fill the time. I always need to have something going on with my hands, and it reminds me of the family cottage. We had such beautiful blankets and placemats and washcloths and hats and everything you can think of, and it was always so soft. So a couple years I decided to teach myself, and much to the chagrin of my family and loved ones, because I may have become a little bit obsessive. Yeah, the first scarf I showed you is very crooked.
Oh, he was such a good boy, you know? Always helped me work the yarn store. He'd be there, greeting the customers. If he really liked you, he'd hump your leg. He was the goodest boy. Oh, what happened? He got out one day. One of the customers, one of my most frequent customers, left the door open and he ran out and got hit by a distracted driver. Oh, yeah, the police report said that he was receiving oral sex at the time.
No, I didn't really start early. I'm kind of a late bloomer. You know, I mean, the first time I was practicing driving with my girlfriend at the time, and was a little bit distracted because, I was in college. I thought it was okay. Thought I was mature enough, and to get a blowjob while driving, and do you know how
Emily felt so bad that Fifi would just run out, get flattened in the street. She said, "Oh, this is my fault." And I said, "No, it's nobody's fault. Except for, that asshole in the car."
I felt so guilty. I made myself a different version of the Scarlet Letter. I crocheted in DM, dog murderer. I've tried to make it up to Zachariah by crocheting a stuffed puppy, but it's not the same. I know it's not the same. I couldn't even get the floppy ears right. They stick up too much.
My now wife, she did use the fuzzy yarn, and it was the same color as the dog post-impact. Not quite sure that was the thing to do, is to knit crochet, bones sticking out of.
Yes, it does annoy me when he says crochet with finger quotes. Thank you. It is condescending. There's something about that. But then he puts a hat on and.
The couple tried to make it up to me by crocheting a replacement for Fifi. It was horrifying. My therapist says that I'm working through it. I've been working through it magnificently. Oh, I decided not to press charges. That didn't seem to be the neighborly thing to do.
That wasn't the first time. Oh, not the dog thing. Just a weird sexual escapade. I was talking about it with my mom, and she was just like, well.
The police records show that Emily and Paul were pulled over a span of 7 years, 57 times for acts of indecency while driving.
It was only 51 times that we had sex, okay? The other 6 times, I think we were running across an old high school bully and we mooned him. But,
58.
Yes, it is a little unfortunate we love the convertible so much. So it makes things very visible.
59.
So I decided to crochet a little cozy. Like for toilet paper or whatever, but for other things.
she tried to use the fuzzy yarn. It was not comfortable.
60.
It's just not been easy, you see, having your most loyal yarn customer coming in, and all I can see every time they pull up is Fifi. No, literally, the outline of the poor dog is still impacted into the front of the car. Get some body work done!
So Mom was just saying, son, it's like you're on a journey. you've just got to find the soul of your life. And she's like, you've always been a late bloomer, and now you're just sowing your wild oats. And it's just like, but Mom, I mean, I killed a poor man's dog.
The crochet dog actually became something of a comfort. I mean, it had a lot of her bones in it. That, I felt that was a choice, right? It had to be something. But it really got me to thinking, I have more of Fifi left now, living in the shop, than I could have otherwise.
I thought it was really sweet when he finally accepted Crochet Fifi and carried her with him everywhere, under his arm. It became one of those like purse dogs, but with whatever he had on him. And to show my gratitude for not pressing charges, I decided to make a 6-foot version. It's almost done. I don't think I can fortify this one with bones, though. I mean, it's not like we purposely go around hitting dogs.
That poor man. Those bones are starting to smell. We didn't boil them properly. I was just like, I've just got to give this man my hat, and maybe he'll find somebody that it'll just be like, he doesn't have to smell, he doesn't have to carry the stinky bones of his dead dog. And I would finally find some peace.
It was a nice peace offering. It really was, but when you have the love, the unconditional love of a dog, do you really need the love of anyone else? And all I could think of was how much I'd lost, and yet how many pieces of her I still just had lying around.
Local police records show that when Paul gave Zachariah his hat, the count of sexual acts of indecency while driving stopped at 69.
Nice.
But incidents of stalking Zachariah began.
There have been other dogs that people have brought by and said, hey, maybe this'll make it up to you. And I even tried fostering a few. I just couldn't be bothered to take them on walks like we used to go on, or feed them food or water.
I mean, I'm the happiest I've ever been. I mean, it's like Emily and I can actually be friends now, and I mean, we talk. I read a book for the first time since I was 17. I mean,
Yeah, he had to tell me all about Of Mice and Men, like The Crucible, and stuff we all read in high school. It's like, I'm bored.
I mean, my favorite was the actual novel version of Old Yeller. I mean, the dog dies sorry, spoiler, dog dies at the end. And, I mean, it kind of brought me full circle. And I was actually able to grieve over Fifi, my feelings. I mean,
what do you do when you've accidentally, through no fault of your own, neglected a couple more animals to death? I certainly couldn't admit what had happened. I mean, nobody would ever come by Yarn again if they knew that this place was just a charnel house of dogs.
I was at the local drinking establishment in Trondheim, and you know, like you do, you just drink a nice frothy Viking mead, and I was celebrating. I was happy. I had read a book. I had actually talked to people without having sex with them for the first time in probably 5 years.
Norway has very specific laws on the treatment of animals, and so I did have to dispose of them. You understand? But I find myself in an abundant quantity of, shall we say, spare parts.
Yeah, I've been very restless lately, shall we say? So I've channeled all that energy into my crocheting, and I have crocheted my way into Project Runway auditions, but Zachariah thought I should crochet more dog effigies for some reason.
My skills at crochet and knitting for a yarn store owner are surprisingly lax. It really wasn't my first career choice. I wanted to go into medicine. But, you know, the call of the yarn, you'll understand.
And there he was, Zachariah was sitting on the stool next to me. He wasn't happy. He looked like I felt when I had the hat. And, you know, as you do when you have a few and you're feeling it and you're just down, you know, he let slip the dogs of war, as it were, or, you know, just that his house was a charnel house.
An agent from the Norwegian Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals was in the bar and overheard the conversation between Zachariah and Paul. Soon an investigation started.
Investigator? What investigator? No. No investigators came by to visit my not dungeon, storeroom. Nobody came.
Dump. I think that's the word he was looking for. And you know, after he explained to me all the horrible things that were going on in his life ever since I owned that hat. I mean, it was the first day. I had just bought the hat, you know, off a guy you know, on a side alley. I had a few beans I gave him, and he was kind of hungry. And the hat, yeah, who knew that this hat, well, I guess I don't own it anymore.
Oh, convincing Emily to assist me in my project was as easy as letting her know about my newfound influence with...
I saw her flirting with him. Yeah, he was wearing the hat.
He has, Zachariah, suddenly become irresistible. I can't quite figure it out. I should be repulsed by the store because of the stench. I don't know what from. But there's all this yarn, there's Zachariah, there's excitement.
It's surprisingly easy, simple to convince her to revise her earlier work with the yarn and the bones.
Oh, I knew I had to do something when I found my cozy missing.
You know, a tooth here, a spleen there, maybe a digestive tract from an investigator who never actually came to visit. It all kind of came together.
I had to weigh in my head what was more important to me. the love and companionship I had with my wife, or the fact that I was probably going to go into some sort of Arctic Circle prison for indecency. I knew what I had to do.
With the disappearance of the investigator from the Norwegian Society of the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, the Jornsfjord, that's the Norwegian FBI, put a stakeout on Zachariah.
Well, we worked tirelessly. That final night, you see, I thought maybe the Jornsfjord was on to us, was on to me, on to my work, but I couldn't just let all of this be for nothing. I had to see Fifi again.
So I hopped in the convertible. I had to beat the Jornsfjord to his house. I put on a mask, little bandana around my mouth. They couldn't recognize me. And I was gonna beat them to Zachariah's house, sneak around back, sneak in, grab the hat before anybody else noticed.
So I was at Zachariah's house. Shh, don't tell Paul. Nothing fun was going on. I was just crocheting lots of those dog effigies, and Zachariah had all this weird stuff for me to put in them. I was happy to help him though, because Paul's become such a big dull dud and finger quoting whenever he talks to me, so somehow I didn't notice how boring he is.
She made the final stitch, the final loop through the heart, and it was done. Fifi got up.
So there I was, sneaking, reaching through the back window to grab the hat off of Zachariah's head. And I heard this. I mean, I couldn't help but scream and flee. I mean, I got the hat. But I had to get away.
It's alive! Oh! Wow! Weird. I didn't know I had that power. I might have to crochet more things into the dresses and stuff.
Epilogue.
I got what I wanted for a short period of time. I got rid of the hat. And I didn't have sex one time. Not once, and it was amazing when I did not have that hat. But I realized the most important thing to me is not whether I'm going to spend time in an Arctic prison, but that I'm there with the person that I love. So I took Emily and the hat and our convertible, and we fled to Sweden.
Yeah, I stayed with Paul. He became less boring again somehow. But it came with the price. I have no abilities to animate crochet yarn anymore. And I missed the deadline for Project Runway. I missed my interview. And plus, we're in Sweden somewhere. Yeah, it's a beautiful country, but it's not home.
I got my best friend back. For a few minutes at least. The yarn dog composite monstrosity ripped my throat out in a fit of rage. All things considered, I probably had it coming, this unholy crime unto the Lord. But I feel like I learned something. Man's real best friend is the one he makes along the way.
Coming next month to Netflix, Frankenweenie 3, The Jornskevord Investigation.
Amy Zajac.
Tom Schmidt?
And up next, we are going to have yarn. Happy Halloween, everybody. Welcome to Improvocation. Right? Yeah, so we've got a lot of the performers tonight that are dressed up in costume. And they're probably going to do improv that has absolutely nothing to do with what they're dressed as. So we're going to really tax you as an audience to, like, not pay attention to this, just pay attention to this. All right, so